All right, welcome, kings and queens. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. I wanted to drop in really quickly and just wish you well. In addition to covering 5 things about the Shanquella Robinson case that's now become a sensationalized case. But before I jump into that, just wanted to send out positive vibes. Hope you all are enjoying your Thanksgiving with family and friends. And for those of you who are experiencing times and moments without your loved ones, keep your head up. You know, weeping may endure for the night, but joy comes in the morning. For those of you who are just tuning in, or if you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Queen Shiba. I cover a variety of hot topics specific to reality television. But most importantly, I hone in on the behavioral and the psychological traits of the Black experience. All right, so there's 5 things I want to cover really quickly about Shanquella Robinson. As you all know, she was murdered in Mexico. She went away on a trip with friends. They were supposed to go for a weekend. She did not come back. Less than 24 hours, she was no longer with us. So with that being said, there's 5 key points that I would like to point out about this case. There's been numerous updates, okay? I think now we're probably all on the same page. I think we've had a lot of our questions answered. I think for the most part, we all have what we need to be able to align our talking track, our talking points, and, you know, stay on the same page somewhat. Of course, we all deliver differently as different bloggers, but here are the 5 things that I would like to outline. Number 1, she did not. I think we can all agree, and we all know, she did not die by way of alcohol poisoning. I think we can stand on that. I think we can all be respectful and respect the original report that was delivered by the medical examiner. Not only that, her mother shared this on her Instagram page. Her mother has an Instagram page, and she's very vigilant about saying, stay focused, irregardless of what the other Mexican authorities are putting out. Her daughter did not pass away from alcohol poisoning. Okay? We know that. Number 2, we know her friends indirectly or directly are all responsible for her death in some fashion or another. We know that, okay? What capacity? That's still, you know, there's still some digging to do, because right now they're all basically pointing the finger at each other. What we do know, we have seen facts. Dejanay Jackson did put her hands on Shanquella Robinson. It is believed, allegedly, that she woke her up. No, we did hear an audio. Actually, I did hear an audio. I heard an audio somewhere. Dejanay went into her room the next morning telling her to get out the bed to fight. And Shanquella did not want to. So we know Dejanay viciously assaulted and attacked Shanquella while she was naked. I'm going to be very, very careful about anything that I share with you as it relates to photos, audio, because I was flagged by YouTube on my last video. The third thing we do know is there are discrepancies from the friends and the Mexican police, as well as the doctor and or nurse that attended Shanquella, that attended to Shanquella, okay? The fourth thing that we know is they will be prosecuted. We know that. That's a fact. Thank you all for your prayers, because prayer does work. Thank you all for your prayers. The Mexican government has said they would be willing to prosecute if the United States could extradite or would be willing to extradite them back to Mexico. The fifth thing we know is justice will be served. Okay? We know that. To what capacity, we don't know. But let me go back. Well, no, let me go back. Number 4, I messed up. I said they will be prosecuted. That was supposed to be number 5. Number 4, I wanted to say Cabo will take a hit if they haven't taken a hit already to that specific villa. And that villa is just one of a cluster, right? So that cluster of villas, if they haven't already, will possibly take a hit when it comes to tourism and attention. And I can only imagine the rage, the anger from the villa owners and all of the people that have generated or profited off of those Airbnbs. Rightfully so, right? Because you wouldn't want your property tied up in a murder. So that's number 4. That this is bad press for that area. Now let's go back to number 1. I believe there's a strong possibility that the friends may have initiated that. That's the first scenario. The second scenario is maybe the nurse was like, no, I have to do this, or I'm going to get in trouble, or can you pay me? Which sounds kind of crazy, right? At that point, that's probably where the conversation came in, to where they picked up the phone. You remember Shanquella's mother said, or Shanquella's father, I think it was her mother, that said they called her and asked her for $5,000. That's where the $5,000 fits in my opinion, either with the nurse or by the time the police had got there, between the nurse and the police. Okay. I believe that the 2 to 3 hour window on the police report where it says the doctor was attending to Shanquella, I believe that 2 to 3 hour window, they were corroborating their story. They were corroborating their story. I think they were asking, there was a lot of questions. I don't believe the bulk of that time was spent attending to Shanquella, because in my personal opinion, I believe that Shanquella had already passed. So a lot of that time went to, tell me what happened. Tell me what happened. I think the authorities and the nurses, or the nurse, the doctor, whoever, was trying to get more information so that they could cover their ass. I don't necessarily think that they even care about the Cabo 6. I think it was like an opportunity to get money. But in order for me to walk away with this money scot-free, I need all details from you so that I can cover my ass too. And when push come to shove, you better believe I'm going to cover me first before I cover you. Hence, when you go back to the report, that's why the nurse said she was unresponsive, alcohol poisoning, and there's some lies mixed in here, some discrepancies, but there's some truths. But she covered her ass when she said the group refused to let me transport patient to hospital. At that point, I believe they refused to let you transport her because they didn't have the $5,000 that you probably asked for, which has led to that phone call to the mother. And the mom was like, no, she has insurance. So to cover her ass, the nurse wrote that part. I believe somewhere, this is where the police came in. In the report, it says Winter Donovan called 911. I think at that point, they got tired of the nurse. Winter somehow, some way, found an ounce of morality and decided to call 911. At this point, that's where I feel like the police entered the picture. Okay? And if you know anything about Mexico, I'm going to challenge you to not think along the lines of the United States. Completely different. Completely opposite. They can do what they want to do down there. And they do what they want to do. So don't expect integrity, honor, and accountability. It's not happening. They're lucky they walked out of there alive. I think if you've ever gone to Mexico or any other foreign country, they're very mean. They can be very mean if you get caught up on the wrong side of the tracks. We know they called you at 2:16. You got there at 3-something. Okay. By this time, if you see her in that condition, because Shanquella's dad saw her in that condition when he received her body in the U.S. So we know you saw it. So other people are going to want to know, what was the delay? Winter jumped ship, escalated, called 911. It further complicated things because Winter didn't understand what she was doing when she picked up that phone and Shanquella was no longer with us. And you called the Mexican police. Honey, that's not the U.S. police. They came in demanding shit. Okay. Or you offered it to them. They probably were about to take their asses to jail. And somebody said, we'll pay you, please. And I believe there could be a strong possibility that those authorities gave them a certain amount of time to get their asses out of Mexico. I don't think it was a done deal. Hey, you're good. We're going to work with you. I think it was more like probably, and this is just alleged, me thinking my own opinion, which is not substantiated or validated. They were probably like, okay, we're taking this, but you're not off the hook. You got 24 hours or 48 hours to get the hell up out of here. You must leave this villa now. That sounds more realistic to me. And if not, we'll see you when we see you. All right. So then when we think about the number 4, the tourist and the hit that villa, that cluster, that property, that's a huge property that they're going to take. There's some pissed off people because see, those people over there, they work in tangent. So you've crippled their money. And when you understand anything about Mexico, from the corruption, even to the legalities, you don't touch their money. Somebody's got to pay for that. Somebody, I guarantee you, in my opinion, there's some strong background conversations going on about who's going to pay for this. Hence the reason why now Mexico is ready to prosecute. They're not prosecuting because they care about Shanquella. Don't get it twisted. They're prosecuting because you dealt them a direct offense. Okay, you brought problems to them. And they're going to deal with you in a way that you would have wished. You would have never laid a hand on Shanquella. They're not doing this for Shanquella, y'all. They're doing this for the purpose of money. And that those 6, the Cabo 6, has hurt them financially in that villa. We don't know who all has a say in this. That's the only reason they're wanting to now prosecute. So if Mexico is now wanting to prosecute, we can assume that the police report is false because the police report said alcohol poisoning. Why would you want them to be extradited if it's actually alcohol poisoning? So we can all assume that the medical examiner's report is correct because there will be no way. What would you be prosecuting them on, Mexico, if you're going off of your police report and if you're going off the doctor's report? So we know that she did not die of alcohol poisoning. That can happen to anybody, right? So they're going to bring them back and justice will be served, but for the wrong reasons. But that's okay. We'll take it any way we get it. Now, here's my concern. Black folks, be careful. Be careful going to Mexico for the next 12 to 24 months. You will receive extra scrutiny. You will receive a different type of treatment. They're going to be real pissed off about Black people coming over there causing trouble. Be very careful. I would heavily advise anybody that's planning to go to Mexico to stay your behind at a resort. If you choose to bypass this message and go to an Airbnb, there very well could be hidden cameras. Be careful. you will experience, there's a possibility you could experience racial biases. Okay. There's a possibility that people will be very resentful towards you, especially large groups. Your best bet is to go to a resort. Okay. Now, that's what I want to say with that. Another thing I want to say is the Mexican government is extremely corrupt. There will be, just because they're saying there's an investigation going on against the doctor and the police, I don't mean it's true, y'all. They don't have to do nothing they don't want to. So don't believe, they're saying that, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's true. Now, you remember when this case first came out and it was listed as a femicide? Some of you you just went into an uproar about the word transgender. Keep in mind, I just said Mexico is a very corrupt, known to be corrupt. There's travel advisories all the time about us traveling to Mexico. So I'm not shocked by anything they would say or do. I expect nothing less. But I'm going to say to the Cabo Six, you should be very afraid. Very, very afraid. There are a lot of vigilantes there. They take matters into their own hands. They're going to get you. And you are going to be dealt the worst corporal punishment you could ever imagine. It reminds me of the story of Judas. He betrayed Jesus for 50 pieces of silver. But they say the agony that he felt after doing so caused him to take his own life because he was tormented by his actions. Mexico is going to punish you guys beyond anything we could imagine. You don't speak Spanish. They're going to divide y'all up. Dejanay, you need to pray because they have you listed as a transgender. They can put you anywhere they want to. This is not the U.S. They do not have to put you in a cell block with women. They can throw you in with men. Okay? Very, very violent men. I'm not wishing anything on anybody. I'm just laying out the details. So Dejanay, if you have any smarts about yourself, first of all, if y'all's family members, I don't understand who's raising y'all. Who are your adult figures? Because if any of you had any type of solid guidance, your parents, your grandmas, your aunties, your uncles will be getting your legal representation in place, outlining the story, the details correctly, honestly about what happened and what part you played. Because once you go to Mexico, they don't give a damn. The U.S. can't say shit to save you. So Dejanay, you better get some representation and get that worked out and properly addressed that you are indeed a woman, because you're going back to Mexico. We don't know if it's today or if it's later, but you're going back and you want to work that out. Winter, there's a possibility that you may receive a bit of favor based on colorism. You're the lightest of the group. Okay. However, when you think about how women are treated in Mexico, that's all I have to say for winter. It's not going to be pleasant for you. Okay. They're not going to take it easy on you. Khalil, think about the Mexican prisons locked up abroad. Depending on your lifestyle, that's not a place you want to be taken advantage of. This is very, very unfortunate, but it could have been avoided. Each of you had an opportunity to step in and stop it, and you chose not to. At this point, I wish you all well, because justice will be served, and I'm sorry for you.
I hate to say it. I hope I don't sound ridiculous. I don't know who this man is. I mean, he could be walking down the street. I wouldn't know a thing. Sorry to this man.